Hi guys, welcome back to Creative Frenzy. Okay, so in the last video I did a double page layout of Citrusolve or citrus degreaser pages, collage pages. So in this one I wanted to do more of the monoprint collage pages. So basically I do have a video. I'll put it in the description down below what the name of the video is, but it's monoprinting by Dan Terrell's, I believe. Yes. I followed some of his YouTube tutorials. They're really cool, and I had a lot of fun. And I created a bunch of pages with it on coffee dyed paper. Now, coffee dyed paper, because it's already wrinkled, I don't flatten mine afterwards. I just sort of put something heavy on them, and that's about the best I can do. So when I went to cut them, they don't cut 100% because I use the Fiskars circle cutter. Anyway, whatever you decide to use, you could do any shape you want. I just wanted to go with circles. So what I did was just colored them with acrylic paint. You could use watercolors, whatever you feel like. I did a bunch of different color combinations, and I just had fun with it. I left the other side as is. You could do double-sided if you want to, in case you didn't like the one side over the other. But, you know, we're going to create with what I have for now. So the last one we did, oh my goodness, so we did this one last time. And now here, we're going to do a new page. We are going to use all these circles. Why circles, you ask? I don't know. I like the shape of them. I made these journaling cards with them, and I really like how it turned out. So I wanted to do a double page spread with circles. So basically the same thing. What I like about it the most is the abstractness of it, and almost, I don't know if you can see it. Use your imagination, okay? It almost looks like cork. Does that make sense? I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool, and it has the texture. Not all my circles worked out too well, but that's okay because we're going to hide those. It is not the end of the world. So what I'm going to do, if you wanted to make these more pronounced, you can ink all the edges of these, which we might actually do. Let me just grab my little ink dot. This is my favorite one that I use for inking edges for a lot of things. I just re-ink it with some ink that I have, and I just do the edges. Now I could have done all these beforehand, which I probably should have, but you know, this is a frenzy moment, and we just go with the flow. It's okay. If it bores you, you can always fast forward to the end result, and that's okay too. I will not take it personally, but I kind of like seeing other people's process, how they do things, what they're thinking behind certain projects is. So, you know, even though this may not look like the greatest circle, which it isn't, obviously, because it ripped, but that's okay, because we can still make it work. Because what we're doing is we're going to overlap these, and having these inked edges will allow us kind of a more pronounced look. Okay, so here I did not ink the edges of all of them. I just did the journaling card itself. Okay, and I put some gold paint over top, so I thought it was really kind of cool. And I just really like the effect of it. So it looks almost like I don't know, anime, space, planet thing. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, so. But the idea is just to, you know, come up with some different color combinations. So in this case, we're having some pink and turquoise with the coffee color in behind, which I like using the coffee papers for this. It's not just for junk journals, you know. Well, this is an art junk journal, so it still kind of goes with the theme, which is fine. I like the idea of being able to use all my supplies in any which way I see fit. But if you look at this one, at this monoprint, see how the coffee just gives it a different texture in the background. And then when you do the mono printing in black on top of it, it's different again. So there's lots of different layers to it, which is what I enjoy about these kinds of collage papers. So, which I found out by accident because some of my monoprints didn't work out. But I liked the paint effect of it so much that I just did it as a background look. So I thought it was kind of cool. So whether or not I have enough circles, I have no idea. So what we're going to do is we are just going to ink these, like I said. If you do not have a Fisker's cutting system, let me just show you what I mean. So basically what you get is a healing mat, and then a cutting template, and then a cutter. So I use all the different sizes of circles. If you don't have this, use a circle punch, all your different punches if you like. Or what you can do is just like how I did a lot of these other pages, just do strips or squares or whatever the case may be. I just thought circles would be fun because I've done a lot of squares and rectangles before already. So I thought it'd be a lot more interesting to see circle shapes. You can do whatever you like. If you have a really fancy punch that you would like to try, you know, use something you haven't tried in a while. Then you can just have fun with it. I think I need to re-ink my poor little ink dot here. As you'll notice, I don't really go too far in. I just want that soft edge, so when I butt them up against each other or overlap them, you notice the edge more, so you see the circle shape better. That's the only reason why I actually do this. Now some of these will get cut in half or quarters, or I don't know, whatever I feel like doing, I guess. And then you can just have fun with it. Now I've said before, and I'll say it again, I like making background pages like this because it allows for creativity. Whatever different medium you are using or new thing you are trying, this art junk journal allows you to put it all in one area, and you know, it shows you how you can just play. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to lay out some of these circles. So I usually start with the larger ones on the bottom. Usually. Not always, but usually. I'm just having a fun play around. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can just start somewhere. And if you don't want to plan ahead, we can just go like this and just toss it away and start that way. We can do that. That's okay. I'll use the old glue stick first. So, what you can do is you can put glue down on the paper or glue on the circle, whatever works for you. You might have to come back and do some of the edges a little bit. Now, I do tend to want to overlap a little bit, so you can come and trim those pieces later. So we can do our edges with our ink dot. Okay. I find it very satisfying to just do these kinds of pages. And there's no rhyme or reason. It's just having fun. Try different sizes, different areas. And if you need to cut out more, then cut out more. It's okay. I really enjoy this. It's very relaxing. It's therapy, right? A little bit of art therapy does the body good and the mind. So these edges that are sort of, you know, wonky and ripped, hang it over the edge itself, and then we can trim that off. It's not a big deal. Or they can be covered up with something else, with another circle, if it doesn't work. But what you want to do is you want to overlap as little or as much as you want, I guess. But you do want some overlapping like that. This coffee dyed paper is perfect for this kind of project. I mean, most of us that do junk journals have a lot of this already, so it's kind of nice to play with it and just, you know, use up some of these papers. If you have avocado dyed paper, or, you know, try different colored paper. Use lined paper if you want, just to get that extra little bit of texture in the background. That'd be cool. So the idea is just to have fun with it. Play with colors. You can do deliberate color combinations if you know ahead of time sort of what you want to do. That works just as well. But, you know, I don't always know which direction I go, which direction I am going, rather. So I could kind of like to just play and see. And some of my edges might be a little bit rough. That's okay. Like I said, we can cover it up or we can leave it as is. Like this one. It got chewed up pretty good. I could glue it down if I wanted to, but, you know, do it whichever way works. I just glue straight in my book here. I just, you know, it doesn't really matter to me where the glue goes, really. Because it's all going to be covered with these circles anyway. They almost look like planets, you know, like a solar system somewhere along the way. Not our solar system, obviously, but I thought it was kind of cool. The complete and total effect of it afterwards. Like some of these are darker than others, and you can play with that, you know, as much as you like. Let's see how you want to put it together. And you'd be surprised what you come up with sometimes with the end result. Especially when you don't plan ahead, kind of thing. I just think it's really cool. In the end, you know, it's like it's something that completely is in the moment that you can create. Now these pieces you're going to cut off, you can still use. You can just use them to fill in the gaps later on. So don't toss those yet. Don't trim anything yet. I'm trying not to be too particular. You know, nothing too even. Things are more fun when it's kind of loose. Just make sure you're not sticking to anything else underneath. I've done that before, and then glue my pages together. I was like, wait, what a minute, what do I do now? So something like this, you know, one end can go off, the other end can just be trimmed if you want. So you're not wasting anything. Oops. So that's what I'm, oops. Oh, come on. There we go. So what we can do is we can just go like this, and then we can trim this if we want to, and we just put a smaller circle on top of it. once we trim it a bit. Because in the end, you're not going to really notice that it wasn't a full circle to begin with. So all we're going to do is we're going to cover this part up with something like that. Maybe something a little bit bigger. There we go. Yeah, that one. Perfect. And that's just the question of filling in the gaps as you go. Don't be too concerned about these other parts here, because we can take a smaller circle punch and fill in those areas as we go. Let's see. Not everything has to be one or the other. Meaning, you know, you don't have to have all the like with like. You could do all one shape of, or, you know, one size circle if you wanted to, and then play with that, which can be a lot of fun. Or you can figure out different ways to put them together. I mean, if you really want to be like, you know, if you want to engineer it from the beginning to the end kind of thing, you know, really think ahead of how you're going to put it together. That's all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I tend to do it more organically, I guess you would say. Or maybe it's just the lazy way, you know, because I really don't want to plan ahead. Who knows? Whatever way you do it, if it works for you, go for it. That's half the fun. Let's see, what else can we do here? So I make a lot of these papers ahead of time, only because they're fun to make. So when you have a surplus of all these collage papers and you don't know what to do with it, this is where a junk journal comes in handy, or an artistic junk journal, right? An art junk journal? Yes, that's the word. This is where you get to play and have fun and do all these different ideas that you come up with. You can play and come up with different concepts. It's very similar to having you know, templates for different projects and things like that. So if you're just trying to flesh out an idea, then this is a good way to do it. Let me find out where my edge is. So you can do all these, fill in the gaps. It's a lot of fun. And then when we trim it, it'd be really cool. My fingers are all sticky now. Okay, let's see. So some of these gaps are a little bit larger than others, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to trim some of this, okay? and then we can go from there. So let's see. Again, larger scissors will probably work better, but it's okay. If you have to turn your book, you know, to make it work, that's okay too. Save these pieces because they'll come in handy. Let's see. This will be easier if we do it from the other side. Cover up my ink pad. You have to come back and probably do some of these corners because they tend to want to lift up, and that's okay. I'll just come back and stick those little puppies down. Luckily the book is not too big that I can't turn it. There, that cleans it up nicely. There we go. See, now you can see it a little bit better and how it's all going to come together. So now we can just fill in the little gaps like this, or even like this. We can just do part of it, but we'll save those for last. Let's see. And you can cut ahead of time, that's okay. If you didn't like to do all the trimming afterwards, we can just do it ahead of time. There we go. Make sure you line up your paper. It just makes it look a little bit more complete. Oops, I just moved. There we go. Again, if this kind of video bores you, feel free to skip ahead to the end if you don't want to see the whole process. I just find it very relaxing listening to other people's thoughts and how they do things, so, but that's just a personal thing. Oh, that's pretty. I like this coffee one too. And if you have some of these smaller spaces, that's okay. We can come back and put smaller circles in there. This is where a smaller circle punch would come in very handy. All right. There you are. I guess I was going to put you down, but I never did. Alrighty, let's see, what else do we have here? Not too many variety of colors left. Which is okay. We'll come back. Just remember not to get too far into that center seam, or else it's just going to lift up on you. It'll drive you crazy. You can color it in if you want to. I kind of like leaving the space. And here again, you know, we're at the point where I don't finish the page. I really just like doing the backgrounds at this stage in the art journal book. Yeah, for the very simple reason, because you can come back and try different things again on top of it instead of finishing it all off. Because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. You don't know if you're going to be doing something completely different or something really cool that would work with the page that you have already put down. You know, so it's kind of interesting to just sort of leave the pages as is, and then as you create, you can decide the next time you look at your book and what else you want to put in, which is the beauty of an art junk journal. All right, so here we have some leftover pieces, which we could use if we wanted to, but what we're going to do is we're going to clean up our hands. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the papers that we cut out all the other circles from, so our leftover pieces, basically. So these, there's still lots of space there to punch out some circles, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to punch out some more circles. You can ink the edges, you can leave them, whatever you decide to do. This is coffee dyed paper, don't forget, so it's a little bit on the wonky side. So some of your punches, you know, just be careful, because it is a bit wrinkly. You have to use a little bit more finesse with them. You just sort of pick and choose where you want to punch out your pieces. I really love this turquoise and the coffee dyed. You get some really interesting backgrounds that way. Of course, it doesn't work when you want it to. That's okay, we'll go somewhere else. Oops, sorry about that. This coffee color almost reads as a yellow in the background, and then when you add like pink over top, it reads more like an orange, which is really interesting if you think about it. Alright, so same kind of idea, because we are going to put these wherever we can. Let's see. I've also used hole punch circles, basically, to fill in some of these gaps on some of my other projects. Oops. Why are you moving on me? There we go. Which works out well too. So again, you know, try to remember to ink the edges. If you don't ink them, that's okay. Some of these are just going to have some of the circles closer together, others not so much. So the next time you look at, you know, your background pages, when you make a bunch of them, think of other projects that you can do in the future that would make it interesting to look at. So when you go through your art junk journal, you know, when you see, maybe you've been practicing drawing faces or houses, cityscapes, maybe you like line drawing. I don't know. Maybe you die cut some really cool plants, or you learned a new technique that you really want to show off in your art junk journal. This would be a perfect place to do it, because it's all your artwork. It's your creativity all in one space, which is the cool part of this. You really fill in quite a bit, and you get to use your papers that you've created, which is what I like about this. It's all you. You get to use all your different supplies, watercolors and whatever you feel like. This is mainly acrylic, but that's okay. But maybe you want to use some gold leaf or some gold paint. That'd be cool. Let's see, what have we got here? Sort of need a piece that hasn't been chunked off. Otherwise it's just going to look a little bit weird. Overlapping them looks really pretty. And we can come back and do these edges with something else. Let's see. I think we need a couple more maybe. And some of these are not salvageable. Which is okay, let's see. Oh, so much paper. I mean, I love paper, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it can really get in the way. You don't have to have the monoprint on everything. Like if you want a darker spot somewhere, by all means, that'd be cool. And you can overlap some of these on some of the larger areas. That should be pretty interesting. Gotta find them, they all blend in. There we go. Probably should have set them aside. So some of these larger circles, if you didn't want so much of that surface area, you can obviously go over top with a smaller one and make it look a little bit more interesting. There we go. So there, that is basically it for that. Oh, fingers get so sticky. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is we are going to trim those last little pieces. And get my scissors out of the paper junk pile. Again, some of these, trimming them ahead of time is probably not a bad idea, especially if you don't like doing all of this kind of work afterwards. So you could leave it as is, or maybe what we can do is we can put this one over here. do that. Now I can't find my scissors. Alright. This one. That's what you get when you have more than one glue stick on the go. Don't know which one you're working with anymore. So if that spaces need to be filled in, we can absolutely do that. So make sure it closes nicely. Not too many gaps. That's good. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go fix the corner apparently. Hang on. There we go. That's better. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the whole thing. Obviously if you don't like inking, don't do it. But I kind of like how it looked on the journaling cards, so I will do it here. Just makes it more cohesive. There we go. This ink dot, I've used it for so many years, for so many projects. It's holding up quite well. Alright, so now what you can do, if that is too boring for you, which, you know, sometimes it can be, you just grab some gold paint and burlap brush, and then just draw some loose lines. So again, you can draw circles. It just adds another dimension to the background. And it will show up when you go to look at it. You could use black too, but I like the look of the gold on top of this. And it's fun. So there you have it, another background page in the Art Junk Journal. So that turned out rather well. So take some of your monoprints or some other background papers that you've made that are fun to use, you know, in this kind of application. This could be used in a scrapbook if you wanted to. You could use on cards. Obviously I've used mine on some journaling cards. I just, you know, if you want to do a smaller scale, that'd be perfect for that. And then you can just fill in the areas as you go. And this is going to drive me crazy if I don't do something with it. So I will make one more. And then I will finish it. Or it will be finished. There you have it. Alright. So like I said, use some of your other collage papers you created. Do a circle spread like this, or you could do any shape really. You could do strips. I've done that before too. And just have fun with it. Play with color, play with shapes, and create a background. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.